Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons, and here with this special broadcast, we got Mason Rothman. I should actually say before we get started why we're here. Mason Rothman, if for those of you who don't know, because it's been a while, helps start Project Geospatial nearly 8 years ago, and he's been on. It's been kind of on a little bit of a hiatus, but he's back to help us cover this special episode covering the Kleos launch, or what specifically is the satellite here? PSLV C49.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing the launch this morning. We're going to be commentating on it, etc., and give me a little background on why this is a significant launch. And Adam, it's great to be back on. I just got in a little while ago from Denver, and it's great to be back on air. So this is a different type of mission versus other missions that we're usually interested in. We're both from the geospatial imagery side of the world, and that's what we usually cover. But today we're going to be covering something that we both worked on as well, and that's an RF or signals collection platform. There's a few other companies that have done this already, including Spire and Hawkeye 360. The difference in this one, and it's huge because it comes down to laws, is that this is going to be launched and fall under the European Space Agency versus the U.S. birds that fall under U.S. laws. So they'll have a little bit more freedom down the road when it comes to collecting RF. What they're doing here with these RF collection platforms right off the bat is they're going for a sweet spot, and that's ship tracking. That will pay the bills at the end of the day for sure. Of course, people are interested in ship tracking for various reasons: smuggling of narcotics, people, illegal cargo, illegal fishing, you name it. There are a ton of reasons you'd want to know where ships are located. And how you do that? The easiest way to do that, not imagery, you do it through signals, because they have AIS beacons on board them, so it emits a certain frequency. Now, the significance of those three companies I mentioned, this Spire, Hawkeye 360, and now with Kleos, is it's the start of the RF stuff. Like I said, they're going after AIS ship tracking beacons initially. But down the road, and I think Kleos will have a little more freedom falling under European Space Agency, they'll start pulling other frequencies in. And you say, what do you mean, Mason, other frequencies? I'm talking about anything from the satellite dish on your house that is most likely KU band from 11 gigahertz to 14 or 15 gigahertz. To a cell phone tower, so you know where those are emitting. There's going to be a lot of ways that you can use SIGINT that we've used in a more classified way down the road. Don't worry, we won't talk too much, but the SIGINT world is going to evolve around you'll see it over the next few years. In fact, within 5 years, I won't be surprised to see exactly those things that I spoke about, those different RF signals being collected as well. And why is that important to why are we broadcasting and trying to tell the imagery world about this? It's all about layers. So, yeah, I'm glad you got your pretty, radar shot, EO shot, IR shot, etc. That's great, and you can see something that's going on. But there's, like Paul Harvey said, here's the rest of the story, and that's what you get when you add the layers on there.
I was wondering when to get around to using Paul Harvey again.
Good day. I'm showing my age a little bit on that one. But so it really comes down to the layers that you can put on top of that image or that GIS product, etc. And I'm always tweeting about that to people as well when I see their amazing products on, the GIS chatbot or the 30-day challenge, which has been really exciting this month, from people all over the world throwing out, single layers, and maybe they're just starting in the GIS community. But I really want to help them so we don't have to reinvent the wheel so many times, of telling them about the layers, what else is out there, so you can create a beautiful product at the end of the day that will really get people's attention and hopefully serve a better cause as well.
Well, let's take a break from that a second. And so what we're showing here with this launch party, we're actually showing the coverage of the launch itself, straight from the Indian Space Research Organization, which they're launching from the, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, the Satish Dhawan Space Center And it's a ride-sharing mission, which means they're going to launch a bunch of satellites on this rocket while the Kleos Scouting Mission satellites are among them. They're not the only ones on board. And as you can see, they're going through their launch procedures here in the video.
Not only are they not the only ones on board, Spire is on board as well. Remember I just mentioned Spire?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so we've got 2 SIGINT collection platforms going into the world. See, folks, I told you this is going to be big.
Yeah. So they're working on getting everything through. There was briefly a launch hold. It looks like that isn't the case. They'll actually indicate that in the video if it's the launch is on hold for whatever reason, checking various systems to make sure they're functioning. No red alarms are popping up, making sure, once again, everything's good with the rocket, the fuel, everything. You don't want, as quite frequently, unfortunately, in this industry goes, sometimes rockets just don't make it up, right?
Like the last 3 or 4 NRO attempts.
So
I'm not making fun of you, NRO.
Yeah. So it should be interesting. They're keeping track of the weather here as well, so you can see in the camera the weather's turning here. It's a little rainy over there in India. I believe this is actually in India. I have to bring up the location here. Yeah. So according to the documentation here, we got Kleos satellites will launch into a 37-degree inclination orbit, providing unprecedented situational awareness for crucial, just as you were saying, shipping regions, including the Strait of Hormuz, South China Sea, East and West African coast. So that's important to realize where the coverage of these first, you said 4 satellites are, right?
Right, because there is a lot of illegal ship trafficking going on in those areas, especially in that South China Sea that they mentioned. Some other hotspots in the world, just FYI, are just off the coast of Argentina. But there's a lot of hotspots where illegal fishing goes on as well, because there are laws and rules and boundaries around that. And a few countries have just kind of taken this with disregard, and they go out and I break the law on a regular basis. And with this SIGINT on top of EMINT, like I said, layers, let's add some more layers on there. And even non-spatial information as well you can add into your product. It doesn't have to be spatial products all the time, but if you get some more data, documents, etc., that's great to add to the layers, so to speak. So don't just always think spatial that you can put on a map when you see data layers. There's also the non-spatial layers. So we're, how many minutes are we from countdown, Adam?
It's hard to say. I'm surprised they haven't actually put the countdown on the board yet.
Yeah, we're at 4:27 right now.
So if they had a brief hold, so I don't know how long that delayed things. I think they were supposed to launch at
4:32 a.m. So 5 minutes
Eastern time. So those of you who happen to be tuning in from another location in the globe.
Oh, I'm going to rub our time in because we're the only ones that had to get up early. The Europeans are up and having breakfast or doing whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
People on the West Coast are probably still partying from Friday night.
I stayed up all night for this. I'm looking a little
and I'm fresh out of the
here.
shower, folks. You can ask questions anytime you want.
So here's the customer satellites that they have satellite name R2. There's one satellite on board for the country of Lithuania.
That's kind of cute, actually. R2, you wonder if they pulled that from Star Wars.
Yep, technology, that's a technology demonstration satellite. So Kleos, the 4 satellites from there. Obviously, the Kleos is out of Luxembourg for maritime applications, as it's labeled. We have the Lemur, looks like 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's 4 satellites. That's a U.S. Those are U.S. satellites, multi-mission remote sensing. So those are imagery satellites. Actually, we have to look those up. I'm honestly not familiar with those.
I'm not familiar with them either. There are so many satellites being launched these days, folks, too, and I preached about that for a while, too, how that's just going to keep increasing. And, of course, we have to have space awareness. We don't want too much junk flying up there, and that's something really big, especially since Elon has launched his Starlink constellation and plans to have thousands of satellites up in the air. We have to be careful of what we're doing with our space.
So it looks like there's also one EOS-1 is an Earth observation satellite. So in addition to the ones that were mentioned, there's EOS-1.
And that's India? India's government that's doing that one? Or no, that's the polar satellite that's above, actually. Sorry.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Well, EOS-1 sounds familiar, and we'll have to, why are we guessing? We should know this.
I know.
This is what happens when we wake up, or I stay up all night. I can't remember things I should know.
Yeah, and I ran 10 miles yesterday, so I've got a real good excuse for not being schooled up on this.
It's folks. This is our first launch party, especially early in the morning. So this is really exciting for us for Project Geospatial. However, we're going to be working out some logistics here as we figure out how to do this properly.
As the rockets red glare.
So they're showing off right now. They're showing off how at what point of the stages of the launch they're going to commence certain stages. Right, separation of main engine cutoff or the ignition of the second stage, separation of the heat shield. And once again, separation of various other components of the payload, so they can release the payload at certain altitude or orbits as these satellites are being released.
This has evolved so much over the years from when, maybe 20, 30 years ago, where it was such a delicate mission and a challenge to get these birds up in the air. And now we're just launching them almost like it's fast food. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
Yeah. Ride sharing is also a huge business now as well. Ride sharing is a huge business. There's a lot of companies out there offering or brokering ride sharing on satellites. And that's an interesting business to be in, where you're not actually the launch provider, you're not actually the vehicle or responsible for the payload. You're responsible for brokering the launches for satellite manufacturers who need to find a way to get these up into space.
Well, and isn't that interesting? Remember, let's go back to Elon for a second. Isn't that interesting with SpaceX? He owns both. He owns the launch platform. And in fact, there's been a couple of government ride shares recently on it, and I think there's one coming up for NRO as well. They usually kind of announce them just shortly before it happens. They can still be spooky about it. But Elon owns the launch capability with SpaceX, and now he's got the birds as well with Starlink. So he's played his hand well. We'll say that for Elon. As much as folks hate him for other various reasons, he's doing well to push the human race forward.
Yeah, so I'm surprised they don't have a launch clock on this yet, on the actual main camera. But they're watching intensely, so I can't imagine the launch was put on hold too long. So I'm guessing it's going to be any minute here. We're going to be putting this up in the air. So here we go. They're showing the customers, the satellites that are on board that we just read off.
I've got a new updated time, Adam. Sorry to interrupt. Of 4:42 now, so we
got another about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
right on.
Good.
This is good. We're going to see the launch here live as we're covering.
By the way, folks, there's a few apps that I use for these countdowns, and you can as well, and they're all free, like most are these days. But Next Spaceflight is one that I use as well, and if you're on Android, they have widgets for it as well. But it basically will tell you all the launches coming up, so you can kind of keep an eye out for it, so to speak. But yeah, if you use those, they're usually updated automatically, etc., and so they'll give you a good time of when the launch is going to happen. And in fact, I just got a notification, speaking of on my phone, 10 minutes until launch.
So let's remind everybody, why is this launch for Kleos specifically important?
Okay, well, that goes back to those European Space Agency rules and the U.S. rules. So under European Space Agency, you have a lot more freedom to collect, so to speak. Under U.S. rules, there are certain agencies like NSA.
We'll just call them organizations.
Yeah.
Including the FCC for that matter.
The FCC, it all plays together at the end of the day with NASA to make sure that we don't step over the line or that things aren't out of control. This was very similar with imaging birds, commercial imaging birds, about 10 years ago, to be honest with you. And now look at commercial imaging birds. It's phenomenal. We're going to see the exact same thing, folks, with SIGINT birds, but even more so. And that's why NSA's budget is, 10, 20 times higher than NGA's budget? The SIGINT birds versus the imaging birds.
Well, let's kind of step back here. I want to talk about why this is important for Kleos, specifically the company, right? So this is the first 4 that are going up.
This is the first 4. Yeah, let's get back to the Kleos specifically. The first 4, their scouting missions, or the first 4 birds for their scouting mission at that 37 degrees inclination, like you mentioned, those hot spots they'll be covering. This is going to be great for them, and it's always exciting. I guarantee Andy and all the other folks and Karen, all those folks are up and watching, for the launch. This is to me this is one of those things that's more exciting than Christmas or the holidays, etc. It's like, oh boy, we've got a launch coming up and it's going to be a first of its kind, and let's do it, baby. And so, well, you can tell I'm more pumped than Christmas for this. So, yeah, here we go. There's another shot of the rocket. You can see the precipitation's coming down, but in no way has it inhibited the launch or hurt it permanently, etc. We're down to 6 minutes and 30 seconds on the countdown. But yeah, we got a short delay on this, and you can see there are all the Indian engineers and gosh, I've seen this so many times with U.S. Government launches. But everyone is sitting down monitoring all of the logistics to make sure this goes off smoothly. There's no second chance at this. If you mess up a rocket launch, like this soon-to-be former president of ours would say, you're fired. So yeah, you can't mess these up. There's just too much money on the line, and I'm not just talking about the rocket itself. Those customer payloads and how long it takes to build those satellites. Even though we are moving faster with the CubeSats these days, but how long it takes and the investment in them, you can't go and mess something up like this or take any gambles on, let's just hit the launch button and see what happens.
Little break. I just realized you're wearing this Nuke Mars t-shirt, which is perfect because this is related to Elon here, right?
Yes, so. I got this from the SpaceX store. There's a SpaceX logo on the back of it, actually, up towards the top of my neck. But yeah, the Nuke Mars story, because that was, remember when Elon said that? And I don't know if he was in the most sober state when he said it, but it was, and he was, I'm just making a joke about that from his Tesla tequila launch the other night. But when Nuke Mars was one of the solutions to come up with livable conditions on Mars, possible discovery of water, etc. There were tons of reasons that he was pushing the nuking Mars situation, and heck, who knows? I laugh about it now, and here I am wearing this T-shirt, but maybe I'll break this T-shirt out again in 10 years when we're nuking Mars. Who knows, to be honest with you. Let's not follow Elon blindly, but he is doing some quite genius things. And personally, I don't follow him on Twitter, and you know why? Because everyone else that I follow follows him and retweets his good stuff, right? So I don't have to filter things, so to speak, in his wild text that he gets into, or tweets that he gets into sometimes.
Well, we're getting close here. We're getting close. They're getting a little anxious on the floor, I can tell. Look at that.
They're 4 minutes and 30 seconds, it says up there, right, on the countdown.
Oh, yeah. The countdown's still proceeding, so we're getting real close. It's getting exciting.
Now, what do you think these folks are using for their operating system there? We saw some flashes of their screens. What would you use?
If what I know from they're either using Windows, or I know India's got a number of their own operating systems that they've created on their own.
That are usually Linux spin-offs, like a lot of operating systems are.
But I choose not to guess. I have no idea in a space center what they could be even using to make things
This guy doesn't look slightly stressed at all. But these launch folks right now are they need a good day off after this. That's for sure.
I can get a good day.
Well, they'll need some rest, like you will here shortly.
Oh boy, things are getting tense.
Yeah.
All they can do is kind of sit back and wait and make sure no red light indicators or warnings for the rocket go off. And there's a point, and I have to do my research of basically a point of no return where they can't just turn this thing off. And I have to read up on the rocket specifically, but if it's some rockets are harder than others, especially if they're solid rocket fuel compared to liquid.
Right, it's you gotta have some time in there. You can't count down to 3, 2, 1 and hit stop. So we're just shy of 4 minutes here, I guess, or 3:30, something like that. And yeah, we should have launch here, shortly. Yep, that's looking like maybe a Linux-based system right there.
We don't even care about the rocket. What are they using to look at this thing?
I know, of all the things we could be talking about beforehand, but if you know us, that's what we're into, all of our geekery in various fields. Now that guy, he's not wearing a mask and he's got the long hair. Is this the rebel on the floor?
I'm actually surprised on how, I see a lot of the NASA launches and some of the other floors, and they're just crowded with papers and random electronics, and it's amazing to see the floor so clean, organized.
Well put together.
Yeah.
Well, that describes a lot of Indian society, actually, and another reason why I would want to launch with them is the reliability at the end of the day, right?
Can you let the GeoCat in real quick? I think the GeoCat wants to watch the launch with us. I got the cat trying to scratch on the door. So I think GeoCat, for those of you who don't know, she sometimes shows up in my broadcasts on the show, but she's been asking to come in our the broadcast floor here. Just leave the door open a little bit. There we go. She might pop up here and see the GeoCat so she can watch the launch. Well, we got a couple, 2 more minutes, man. Let's we're getting close. Oh, I disappeared for a second. There we go.
Okay. Here, let me lean back, actually.
Yeah,
there we go.
Got to reset the view. We're getting real close to launch. Man, that is a clean floor. Of course, I know. Of course, I keep keeping. You realize right now they're keeping social distancing right there.
Of course.
At least it looks like it. Maybe their floor always looks like that big. They got these big giant monitors all stretched out too. Maybe they like that much space.
You know, from growing up in Germany, I can tell you that the Indian people, and then living in England for so long. By the way, the number one immigrant population in England are Indian folks. But I can tell you that if from an organization and structure point of view, the Indian folks are very similar to the Germans that I grew up with. So amen for their efficiency.
Here we go. We're getting real close.
And in fact, GeoCat is right in front of the TV right now. We're watching.
We're trying to watch this on the side as you all get to see it on the screen, and the cat decides to check it out up close and personal.
We'll have to have her on stream sometime.
Well, she's on the stream for when I do no normal.
Okay.
When our normal broadcast, she's usually sitting up on the perch. Likes the attention. Here we go. We got 7 seconds to launch, folks.
Whoa. There's no stopping now, baby. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, there we go. Get the engine igniting.
Woo, baby.
There we go. Congratulations here.
As the rocket's red glare.
So we just got to keep an eye on this, guys. Make sure
all the stages of the launch happen. They're going to report those as they're going as well.
Hopefully everything goes well.
And by the way, I just got the notification on my phone that the launch did happen.
So FYI, there's usually a small delay in these things. So if it doesn't go wrong, what happens typically, what I've seen, or at least a lot of times, is the screen will sometimes just stop or go black.
Yep.
But I think this one's going to look good. There's no reason to be concerned here.
You almost wonder from the different points of view why they stop those streams sometimes when one of those occurrences happens. And one of the things that popped in my mind was insurance as well. So you get proof of cause, etc. Or they have some kind of clause in there that says you stop it at this time and we'll cover your X, Y, and Z.
But look, there it goes on its way.
And it's just like the launch stages, kind of the arc going up
just
there.
over 0.7 kilometers a second. That looks right. And climbing fast.
It is, yep. Oh, wow, look at the excitement. The hands. The crossed
Well, they're
arms.
still anxious. This is still a pretty critical part of the launch. And still it gets above a certain point. You know, obviously you still got to launch the payload successfully.
I need to get this guy's name with the long hair and the mic, etc., because he looks like the launch director, actually, like he's in charge and he's making the announcements and the calls.
Yeah, they because I've even seen up to the point where they launched the cargo out. There's been situations where they've accidentally released the cargo at the wrong orbits and messed those up.
There's so many steps in this, and folks don't realize, and they're not going to appreciate it the more and more launches that we get up there. But there are so many things that could go wrong, and these folks that work the launch know that, and so yeah. Congrats, and we're getting some claps there on various separation stages, etc. This is great.
So let me look at, Kleos is KSM-1. Let's see, where is trying to figure out.
We got the PS2 thrusting right now. Great animation.
So customer satellites, the EOS-1 separation comes first, I think, and then afterwards will be the rest of the satellites, including the Kleos. That'll be last in the
Yeah, because we have all the different orbits, folks. We've got low Earth orbit, LEO. We've got
well, actually, so the EOS-1 satellite, because it's an imagery satellite, it's going to be launched at a lower altitude, right? Lower orbit,
right?
And it makes sense because you need to image a lot closer to the Earth, but the SIGINT satellites are going to be launched at a much higher orbit
for more coverage.
For more coverage.
So you zoom in with the imagery and you zoom out with SIGINT, so you can get more collection area. Sure, that's a great point, Adam. So you, like I said, you have your different types of birds. You got your LEOs, your GEOs, and your GEOs. The GEO birds are more controlled. You can move them where they need to be, and then you have your HEO birds, your high Earth orbits. And so it's great to watch all of these payloads as they're going to separate here and go into orbit.
Now, I think it's worth, as we're waiting, since we're waiting for the complete success of this rocket as it releases various stages, it's worth kind of talking about who's running Kleos right now. Why don't you go over that, Mason?
So we know and have met plenty of these people, but of course our good friend Karen Hayes Ryan, and she's going to be the Kleos Space Incorporator director. But for the she's a U.S. based person that we've known for many years. I know her from the NRO and NGA days, and so she was one of our intros to these folks. Now we're always interested when we go to the GeoInc conference. I'm sorry we had to miss this year USGIF. That whole 2020 COVID thing got in the way though.
Keep going down the list.
Yeah, but we have Peter Round, who's the chairman of the board, Andy Bowyer, and we've met, like I said, these folks at GeoInc conferences as well. And then Mike Ashcroft and Dave Christie. These are the folks from Kleos Space Management.
Well, and I think it's worth kind of going over their bios a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
sure. Yeah, that's just an overview.
And all these folks have some interesting backgrounds.
Oh yeah, none of these are just angel investor types.
No.
Yeah.
So Peter Round, he was the Royal Air Force Air Commodore, expert in the European Union defense issues, military affairs, and has led multiple multi-million-pound contracts within the defense industry. I don't usually get to read multi-million pound.
Yeah.
I'm so used to saying dollar. So internationally renowned strategic executive experience in the U.S., European Union, and NATO. So then we got Andrew Boyer there.
Yeah, Andy Boyer.
Right.
And we met him as well at GeoInt. But 14 years of heritage delivery, complex space contracts, including missions to Mars, Mercury, as co-founder of Magna Parva. Broad commercial and business development skills centered on major mission providers for the European Space Agency. Once again, something else to note about Kleos is, even though a lot of the people that we're talking about here are British or English folks, the company's based out of Luxembourg, actually, which is really interesting. Once again, from the ESA and law point of view, right? So they don't fall under any of the Five Eyes partners, I want to say, countries. So what they're doing is that's the reason they're putting over in Luxembourg as well, because they don't fall under the Five Eyes partnership ground rules at that point, quite literally ground rules.
So the next person on the list says, well, actually, did you read Andy's background here?
Yeah, I read Andy's background.
Yeah, right. See, this I'm tired of him. I'm tired. Still watching the launch, by the way.
Yeah.
So Miles Ashcroft, the CTO, extensive technical experience delivering technically groundbreaking, high-value space engineering hardware to multiple international space agencies. So it sounds like he's a big engineer. I've never met Miles Ashcroft, co-founder of Magna Parva. Interesting enough. Mm-hmm. Then we have David Christie, independent non-executive director. So 20 years experience as a senior legal executive with global responsibility of legal affairs. Does that sound like a lawyer to you? Just curious.
No. But it's interesting to note that Mike and
litigation and intellectual property matters.
That Andy and Miles both are from that Magna Parva background, by the way, there too. So that's another interesting.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Karen Hayes Ryan as the Kleos Space Director, former intelligence community and Department of Defense senior executive with extensive history in defense, aerospace, and IT, having held senior executive roles in the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the National Reconnaissance Office. So
that's where I know her from.
Yeah, and she's just amazingly qualified. To
Yeah,
help them
I
out with
know,
their
I know.
background.
It's a perfect combination once again, and it's interesting that Miles and Andy both worked at Magna Parva.
So look at this thing. We've gone, what, 5, 6, maybe almost 10 minutes thing, and this thing is already at 1,400 kilometers up there.
Yeah.
It's insane. No, is that right? Did I read that right? Is it 1,400, or is I reading the wrong?
I think I think you were reading 1,400.
I'm used to seeing that in miles too, so we're gonna multiply that almost by 2 or something.
Another one of our American Americanisms. We're used to miles per hour. Screw that metric system.
On imagery, I do kilometers and meters all the time.
Sure.
Just using such big numbers in terms of a launch is something I don't usually look at.
You think that's why we invented miles, just to make the numbers lower? Our simple caveman style.
I'm not sure. Didn't I recall? I don't know. I'm not going to go into trying to define anything and make a fool of myself for history when how tired I am right now.
No, but it's like going back to that. Andy and Miles both worked at Magna Parva. It's kind of and it's perfect with the timing of what's going on around the world right now, and economies and people in jobs. That you usually meet people especially if you're looking for a job in the space industry. Remember, folks, you get most of your leads to jobs through friends and family, right? So these guys were coworkers, quite literally, and they realized that they were amazingly well.
So
together.
we got another separation here. Actually, I wish I can hear what they're saying. So we had the feed muted, so we can narrate this.
Yeah, we don't want to have it in the background. You know what they need? Closed captions. That's what they need to provide us.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, we got some claps. We got some further separations. This is great news.
Let's see where they are. Could be because the document here does kind of indicate what point they are. They might be in the final payload deliveries here. Oh, there we go.
That was interesting.
They're in PS-41.
That was interesting in the background of the on the launch floor there too. I noticed an Indian soldier standing up against the wall there for the Indian space.
Yeah, so they're not quite at the point of delivering the payloads yet.
We're getting there, and beautiful animations too. Like I said, these things are getting more and more advanced, and as they do, are more and more common and advanced. And as they do, that's when we start to see the beautiful side of things, so to speak, where we see the animations, the artwork, the more details that the average Joe, so to speak, would be interested in.
And I'm not entirely sure. Of course, we watched the launch, and it's so far been a very successful launch. But I'm not entirely sure when they're releasing this, because the separating the rest of the cargo could be in. Sometimes the rockets have to orbit a few times. Mm-hmm. And that might not fit our timeline for this broadcast.
But we do have a successful launch. We're having successful separation stages, and we'll have the successful deployments of the satellites as well here. So, yeah, this has been a great launch so far. I'm very happy for all of the satellite providers that are going to be on board, especially Kleos, and once again, Spire is on there. So here we go with the ship tracking.
Where do you see Spire on here? Which one is that? Because they're not on the list that I see.
I saw it on a document earlier. I'm trying to.
That's not the R2. No, that's Lithuania. Unless it's yeah.
Yeah, I know. Here I am saying, "Oh, this is happening."
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, wait a minute. I read off the satellites. I don't remember reading the Spire ones. Huh.
Well, to get down into some EOS-1 is a radar imaging satellite.
Oh, there you go. I'm glad you have the mission details there.
Yeah,
it tells you a lot more than what I have.
Yeah, bless the apps, actually, to be honest with you. But EOS-1 is a radar imaging satellite.
And who owns that one? Or does it say in there? Who's responsible for that?
Of ISRO, so the Indian space. Yeah.
Okay, it is Indian space. That's why everything else was marked as international, and EOS was marked as their own.
Right, and then we have Kleos. Maybe Spire did pull out of this, actually. I'm going to try to find the document on that I had up earlier. I regret saying that, Spire. But we're not here for the Spire party. We're here for the Kleos party at the end of the day. So the Kleos mission we already spoke to you about, and how they're Luxembourg-based and multi-satellites that they're going to be putting up as well, 4 of them, 4 birds. And the VHF communications from ships. And then Lemur 2, initial constellation of Leos.
550 kilometers up, but from a distance, I guess, away from the original target, I was like 3,500 or something like that.
So the Lemur 2 Z1 to Z4. Lemur 2 is the initial constellation of Leo. Once again, low Earth orbiting satellites by Spire. So actually, Spire is the one. That's what I thought I was reading this morning. So Lemur 2 Z1 to Z4.
But doesn't
is
those mark as
Spire.
imagery satellites? Oh, you know what? They built them.
Yeah, so
I see.
They're low Earth orbit as well, built by Spire. These satellites carry 2 payloads for meteorology and ship traffic tracking. The Lemur 2 satellites carry 2 payloads.
You know, because I was a little confused when it says remote sensing, because
Yeah.
I automatically think imagery. But I guess, because I'm aware that Spire uses their signals to monitor weather as well.
Weather as well. So they've got 2 payloads on each satellite too. So the Stratos GPS radio So the Lemur 2 satellites carry 2 payloads: Stratos GPS radio occultation payload and the Sense AIS ship tracking receiver. So and this isn't the first launch for Spire. I'm not sure what they're up to at this point actually, but that's great to see. Like I said, multiple SIGINT birds up for launch. I knew I wasn't losing my mind, Adam, but thanks for calling me on that. That made me read through this more actually and determine where I saw it. Now, see, while I see these maps up and whatnot that they're displaying, I'm wondering how we could make something like that a little bit better to bring in people to watch this more. And
Well, I don't know. Even Google Earth looks better than that.
I know, you're not kidding, right? And so why are they just using that black background
Well,
map?
think about it, though. It's about
They're keeping it simple.
It's
We're more
keeping it
focused
simple.
on the launch.
We're focused on the launch. We're not trying to focus and hide the launch behind the color of background. Right?
The beautiful geospatial world.
You stand out where it is, and from a launch perspective, you get the outlines of continents, maybe on a regional level, early on in the launch. But you don't need a lot of distractions on the map.
You're right for launch. You're right.
You're trying to track the satellite's path, where it's going to release certain things,
and at least one of those
if something
engineers-
goes wrong, where about where it is to assess if there's going to be any debris that falls.
And we don't want any of those engineers on the floor to get distracted and start zooming in and looking at grandma's house while this launch is going on either, right? Because Google Earth is addictive, as we know.
Oh boy, I don't think it's been that addictive in like 15 years.
Yeah, we're not going to get too far into the Google Earth and Google Earth Engine stuff, though.
I got to watch my camera here and keep on phasing out. Let's see.
Well, that's amazing that you have that disappearing act privilege. I don't have that. He fades away.
Oh, that didn't happen.
The tracking's got you down now. So the apogee, the inclination, etc., all this, the basic stuff or the important numbers, like Adam was saying, that they need to be watching out for.
I think so, folks. I think I'm right the first time. I don't know when they're going to release the actual cargo here, unless they say on some of your apps.
We've got some claps right now. And this is a shot from the spacecraft actually right here.
So are they releasing EOS-1 right now? Is that what that is?
EOS-1
separation. That's what that is.
Yay!
Yeah, there you go. There's congratulations to their Earth imaging satellite, radar satellite.
And once again, that's the ISRO that's going to have that. And what's the important thing about radar imagery and how it kind of marries up with SIGINT? Radar imagery is day, night, all weather, right? So if something's really going on and you need to see it, that's what radar imagery provides you, as long as you don't have too much terrain masking. But that's what radar imagery provides you. And what does SIGINT provide you? Real time as well. So those go kind of hand in hand versus I'm going to wait till daytime and no cloud cover for my next pretty shot of electro-optical imagery I can put up.
Absolutely. Most people realize a lot of the Earth sometimes is cloud covered most of the time, I should say, and such as that's why they call near the equator the cloud belt. Mm-hmm. And it's almost necessary to have a radar satellite cover those areas, and not just over land, but especially over sea to help validate what maybe do the tracking, the AIS, the ship tracking, right? Validate what you see down there. And
it doesn't have to be the prettiest picture, although radar imagery anymore is getting quite beautiful. In my opinion.
No. You don't need to precisely identify. This is as long as you actually make out this is a ship.
Yeah, this is a ship, and it meets the measurements, etc. You can, you're pretty safe right there on that first call. Heck, ship tracking with electro-optical is difficult a lot of times too. Not getting past the cloud cover. electro-optical at open seas, the weather conditions, a lot of things play into it.
So we'll wait another few. Oh, they're launching a few other things there. I think, is that the cargo? Is that? I wonder which ones those are. Of course, I didn't get a picture of.
They should put it up on the stream like they did with the last one. So.
No, that's it right there. The event.
KSM. There's KSM-1A, KSM-1B.
So time 993.4.
Yeah. So the Kleos missions are going out. Those are the KSMs.
Yeah, I was okay. So I guess we do have a picture of their satellites. This is what they look like. So yeah, those look like what they were when they were ejecting off the satellite.
They look boxy but good, kind of like a Volvo.
Boxy but good, like a Volvo.
Yeah, so there we got KSM-1B, 1D. See, look at the little boxes.
There you go. Yeah, we got one more left.
Yeah. If Andy and crew want me to still call them Volvos, I will. As long as they promise to put a Volvo symbol on one of them.
Oh, don't do that.
No, they'd have to do a partnership with. Maybe
you could do a partnership with us for advertising that.
There you go. Right. Another European-based company, so no problems on that one.
I don't know what you're advertising with Elon there.
Yeah, right. There we go. We got our KSMs all launched out.
So they're moving on to the next payloads now.
I think we're going to be moving on to the Lemurs.
The Lemurs, right.
Which are the Spire ones at the end of the day, right? CubeSat Pathfinder mission, CubeSat Rideshare mission to customers. Yeah. Oh,
no, Lemur 1's already launched. Lemur 2 launched. They're launching them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So 1 through 4.
This one's going a lot quicker than I'm used to seeing. Some like I said, they go in different orbits. Sometimes they rotate around to get to the right orbit few times.
Yep, Lemur, the Spire birds, and with the dual sensors on board. Huh, look at that.
And is that the last one?
I didn't see the screen up on it, but that's just amazing to be able to watch this. That how far technology has come, just basic, that we can watch a live stream, from a webcam, we'll call it, that's on board this spacecraft, and we can see that back on Earth. That hasn't been a common thing.
We have one more Lemur to go.
One more Lemur.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that we can see up there, it looks like maybe 1 frame a second.
Mm.
Yes. All 10 satellites have successfully separated. Well, congratulations, everybody. Yep.
I know there's some folks that will be sleeping well in India tonight.
Awesome. Well, do we want to give any last words to...
look at that. They're doing the hugs. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we got to... Yeah. Okay. But the rest of you do this, okay? do the elbow taps.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. So with that said, any last minute words for our crew here as we wrap up ourselves?
Well, there will be several folks I'll be following on Twitter for when they first can pick up frequency from the satellite. So we know that it's going to be in orbit. There's several folks, and I'll tweet out about that as well, that are experts in the field, and they'll be quite literally looking for these birds to make initial contact with them, and as soon as they do, and that's all on the commercial. So a lot of them are hobbyists actually, but it's fairly cheap to get into the game, so to speak, these days, and look and see whenever you pick up the frequency off the bird, and you can see its data coming down, or basic data of what orbit it's in, etc. So yeah, that'll be the next one. Oh, it looks like they're getting up to give a speech about the successful launch. This guy is like praying. I was too at the same time.
Awesome. Well, once again, I'd like to congratulate everybody who was involved, as well as all the satellite providers that was aboard. And I apologize if I sound like a complete idiot tonight, because I can't think straight.
No.
After trying to stay up for this launch.
And like I told you, I debated staying up too, because it's like it was, okay, 3:30 in the morning. How should we do this exactly? So. But like I said, I kind of cheated yesterday by running that 10 miler, so I was exhausted and I got some sleep in.
Yeah, it's been years since I've stayed up done an all nighter. Even though I stay up all the time.
But
Usually
wasn't this fun? I mean,
this is a blast.
Yeah. So this and I can't wait to do future launches as well. This is going to be a lot of fun. Actually.
So we're not taking questions this round, I don't think, unless I pop up. I'm going to pop up the Twitch feed here, see if any questions came in.
But like I said, folks, we'll be doing plenty of launch coverage in the future, and thanks for joining us on the initial one. Especially like Adam said, it's been 8 years since we started Project Geospatial. Before that, we did another little podcast when I moved back from England. That was
my gosh.
We did WeCDC.
WeCDC, that was just us having fun.
But yeah, now 10 plus years total. Eight for Project Geospatial. Oh, okay. But you add in the WeCDC stuff in there.
That started, I would say that's more like
more
like 10.
I moved back in 2009, and it's 2020, so that's 10 years that we've been.
Well, because
if we started in 2010,
we started WeCDC in 2011.
Okay, so we've got 9 years. We've got 9 years of experience doing the podcasting, and it's great that podcasting has actually evolved into what it has at this point. Now everybody and their mother's got a podcast up, but it's not our first rodeo, folks, and it's been a blast to be able to broadcast and give us ideas on things you'd like to see, etc., things you liked, you didn't like, or if you want to join us on one of these in the future and you're in the space satellite technology, or you'd like to highlight any of your products for launch.
Look at all those empty chairs. That is an empty floor, man.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, what would you do if you just got done doing a launch and you were on that floor? And I don't know what I would do to express my enthusiasm. Besides, I might go for a run after that. Actually,
a lot of those systems, if they have them hooked up the right way digitally, do you think they even need to be on the floor anymore? Could they even handle a launch remotely from home?
That is
if they just kind of channel into their systems on the floor.
There's another future prediction maybe that that will in 5 years or so, especially with this one pro of 2020 is our efficiency of remote work, right? And that's what folks are hopefully proving during their time away from the desk right now, or the office space. So yeah, can you imagine that doing launches in the future from where half of that crew is sitting at their home actually, and it's going to be amazing to watch what the future holds for us.
Well, I think this is the point where we say our farewells. I want to, once again, I've said the goodbyes like 3 or 4 times now, I feel like. But I want to thank you all for joining us. This is Adam Simmons.
And Mason Rothman.
Signing off with Project Geospatial. Thanks, everyone, for watching our Kleos launch party.
Have a good rest of the day, or for California folks, night.
Talk to you next time. Sorry, cat.